issues in the use of internet. So welcome back. We're going to finish this up and go over a few things, and we'll show you a couple of websites. Okay, email has become a standard method of communication. And email documents are a large part of the discoverable documentation in cases. So what you have to really, on the flip side of this, on one side, if you are involved in litigation with somebody else, you want to get all of their emails, all of their text messages, all of their Facebook, everything is electronic. So you can find out if they revealed something in any of those that you can use in a case against them. The flip side is you want to make sure that you don't put anything in any of those formats that can be used against you. Pick up the phone and talk. That's a much safer. Anything that's in an electronic format is going to be saved on a server somewhere. We saw all the routing of the internet. So nothing that is electronically sent over the internet is ever really gone. So be careful. Email is saved on a computer or a file server in a file folder called a mailbox. Companies have to keep backups of all of their emails. And one of the issues for the legal team is whether email should be made part of a client's file. With an email management program, they also can be put in part of an electronic file and potentially part of the discoverable record in litigation. That's what I mean. You want to be careful. You want to get everything they have, but you want to be careful about what you put in one in case, you don't want the other side to get it. Like, gee, I hope they don't find out about, his past indiscretions. That's something you don't want to be having in email. Having a system for saving electronic document files is essential for finding and using them. Now, also, ethical issues must be considered whenever an electronic filing system is designed. Who has access to what parts of it? Remember, we have the duty of confidentiality with our clients. And sometimes, in one law firm, there could be people working on different sides, different attorneys representing possibly competing claims. So you want to make sure that there's things in place to make sure that no one on the other side has even any possible access, so that it can't be used against you saying you didn't follow proper precautions. Once the ethical wall is on a computer system or network, you create a password protecting access to the restricted files or information. Your IT guy will know how to do this. You'll all use attachments. One type of attachment is a static file, a file that contains only data and performs no functions, meaning any macros or things like that have been taken out, which makes it safer and less likely to have a virus in it. Files with macros, a file that contains some functions that can be activated. Like in Excel spreadsheet, someone might have put in formulas and put in the steps for calculations. In files like exe or .com files that will run automatically after downloading, what they're saying here is be careful that you know what you're downloading. Because if it has a macro, it's probably fine. But if it's an exe or .com file, that might be putting malicious malware onto your computer. Some internet service providers limit the amount of information that can be sent at one time. As I was saying, your client files can be huge. You can, zip them, which makes it a little bit easier, especially if you have multiple documents. You right right-click on it and say send to zip folder. If you're downloading software, that's usually huge. So sometimes, depending on your speed or whatever, the trust of your internet connection, you might want to download it from the web or have them send it to you in a CD. I don't know anybody who installs off of a CD anymore. Technology in the courts. Okay, many courts have implemented electronic filing or e-filing. That makes life much easier for the lawyers and the paralegals. It's much easier to e-file than to walk down to the court, stand in line, go through all of that process every time you need to file or update a filing. All the federal courts have implemented e-filing, and an increased number of state jurisdictions are permitting or a couple are requiring e-filing. Now in Louisiana, we have e-file. And I won't go too much into it now, but it makes life very easy. And I'm going to post a couple of the getting started training videos so you can learn how to use it. The PACE or Case Locator is a national index for appellate district and bankruptcy courts. You can look up court cases very easily, and depending on how much you're using it, it might even be free. So this is PACER, and I'm also going to post a couple of videos on using it. Now, you're like, why would I use? You would be using this in business. I know somebody who's an interior designer, and he works with a lot of big clients. He looks up his potential clients to see if they're suing a bunch of people, because if they are, that's not a client he wants. Maybe you could find out who your daughter is dating and find out if they've had any criminal cases against them. So it can be very helpful in looking up people to see if there are cases against them. So I'll post a video on how to use it, because you don't have necessarily using it professionally in paralegal. You can use it for all sorts of things. And the legal team for the federal system is called the ECF system, and it works much the same as the way the Louisiana system works. You prepare your documents, you upload them, and that saves you the time of standing in line. Now there's a case going on right now where a judge was furious at the attorneys because they filed like 1,000 lawsuits for possible Lake Charles residents who were affected by a hurricane and the statute of limitations was coming up. So they just filed 1,000 cases. These weren't even necessarily their clients yet, but they filed the cases to beat the statute of limitations. And the judge was furious because they have to go through all of them. And as they're going through all of them, they found that a lot of these cases had already been handled through different law firms. So that's one reason why you want to use the PACER, to see if they've already handled that person. Okay, so that wraps up this. There will be other videos posted, about using the e-file and the PACER system. And good luck.